Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. So here Bhagavan was telling that just as the latent fire within the wood, when the two wood sticks are rubbed together, it gets unleashed. It no longer remains contained in the sticks. It comes out. Just, oh Arjuna, the sun cannot see darkness, or a person after waking up is not deluded by his dream. Just as for the sun, the day and night phenomena is invalid. From its point, there is nothing called day and night. In fact, the light that we see is only the reflected or refracted light which passes through the atmosphere of the earth. If you go out into the space, it's a dark light. Light needs a surface to reflect. Yeah? Then the third example, a person after waking up does not give any validity to the dream and thus is not influenced by the dream. Now, when you look at this, see how we are influenced. We are influenced by yesterday. We want to continue yesterday today. We want to pull today into tomorrow, and this is our lot. And your data shows that once you wake up from the dream, you don't pull the dream, you don't continue the dream, you don't extend the dream into the next dream. And in this manner, Bhagavan was telling now in the 1411 OV. Let me open this. Where is it? One moment, I have to enlarge it. तै समजसी एकवटलेया मी स्वरूप वाचूनिया आन काही उरावया कारण असे म्हणोनी तयाचे काही चिंतीन आपुल्या ठाई तुझे पाप पुण्य पाही मीची होईन तेत सर्व बंधलक्षणे पाप उरावे दुजेपणे ते माझ्या बोधी वायाणे होऊनी जाईल जळी पडिलिया लवणा सर्वही जळ होईल विचक्षणा तुझ मी अनन्य शरणा होईन तैसा ये तुलेनी आपैसया सुटलाची अहसी धनंजया घेई मज प्रकाशोनिया सोडवीन तू ते. Bhagavan says here, where are we? Bhagavan says, in the same way, when one becomes completely identified with me, is there any scope for his remaining distinct from my universal form? Is there any scope of you and me to remain distinct as an individual once once we surrender to sleep? Do we remember our form? Do we remember our personality? Do we remember we are male or female? Do we remember how tall or big or heavy and thin? What our likes and dislikes and our relationships? Not how old we are, nothing we remember once we dive into sleep. And this is only one of the states of experience in your 24 hours. How much more deep and encompassing will it be if we were to dive and take Sharanagati at the feet of the Lord? Mame kam sharanam vraja. That is the point that is going on here. Sarva dharman parityajya we saw, now mame kam sharanam vraja. And once we had taken the refuge and surrendered at his feet, thereafter the individuality does not remain distinct to the infinite. Once the salt doll has dived into the ocean, it cannot be extracted out. It becomes one. It merges into the ocean and is the ocean thereafter. It can never come back to its individual form thereafter. So also the seeker who has surrendered at the feet of the Lord is continuously thinking of the Lord, giving up of all his responsibilities, giving up all his duties. Giving up where? Giving up means that while doing those duties, he doesn't think that I am doing it. His disposition is the Lord is the prompter, Lord is the doer, Lord is the karma phala bhokta, Lord is the karta. He is just watching. His attention is on the infinite. Find out your way how to surrender to the Lord. There is no one way, there are many, but all lead to the same way. But begin somewhere, or just accept it that he is, and that is the truth. That is the sahaj way. That is the natural way. That everything he is doing, this ego idiot comes afterwards and says, hunger comes, he says, I am hungry. Pressure comes, he says, I am having the pressure. You wake up, afterwards the ego says, I am awake. Please put your audio off, please, Ratna. And in this way, the ego is playing a game of possession. Ego is playing a game of identification, where there is no possession and identification is ever possible. What have you as a person ever got identified in this life? Write down if you don't believe. Write down. What have we got identified till today? Body is changing, world is changing outside. Every stimuli of the seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting is changing. The body is changing, the breath is changing, the thoughts are changing, the emotions are changing. Our convictions are changing. Waker, dreamer and sleeper are changing every day. So what is permanent? Not one thing. And to this changing, some fictitious fellow says this is continuous. And out of nothing, he makes a world for himself. And that person is you and me as an individual. Bhagwan is saying that when one completely identifies, identification means we do not feel separate, we don't have an identity of ourselves. Complete mergence, complete at one ment with the divine. Complete at one ment. And it is not something that you don't know. You know, every night you are at one ment with sleep. Why is it so difficult to understand that consciously you can be at one ment with the divine consciousness, which is nothing but the Atman within? Why is it so difficult? Are we afraid that everything that we have worked so hard, the profession that we have created, the money that we have collected, the possessions that we have, the relationships that we have, all this will be lost once we realize, once we surrender to the Lord? Is this the fear which is holding us back? Find out. Because thereafter you will not be able to complain. Are you afraid of, अरे यार अब तो complain ही नहीं कर पाएंगे इसके बाद? Is that what we are afraid of? Yesterday we saw Abhaya, that Paramatma is of the nature of fearlessness. That fearlessness is required on this path. When we are surrendering to the Lord, we are ready to be molded by the divine, rather than molding the divine in our own image. We have to allow ourselves to be molded by the divine. What does being molded by the divine means? That the way he sees the world, the way he sees everything, you also get that vision. Why? He alone is functioning through us. That is the truth. There has never been a time that he has been not. He is always. You are not always. And yet, insisting that I have to put efforts, I have to hold on, I have to do this, I have to do that. So he says, in the same way, when one becomes completely identified with me, is there any scope for his remaining distinct from my universal form? What is his universal form? Om Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapad. This thought came yesterday also in Kathopanishad. The Hiranyagarbha. Virat Purusha is the manifestation of the total form. Hiranyagarbha is the causal state. Hiranyagarbha is the manifest state. Sorry, not Hiranyagarbha. Virat Purusha is the universal form, is the manifest state. So what is the disposition of the Atman? It is everywhere. There is no place that it is not. If you find this difficult, how Atman thinks, Atman cannot think, it is its disposition. But you can, I'll bring the same example from yesterday. After waking up, how do you analyze the dream? In the mind, the dream mind is not separate. The dream mind, the waking mind, the deep sleep mind, they are one and the same. But in that mind, the mind projected space, air, fire, water, earth. The mind projected the world. The mind projected the beings. The mind alone started expressing as life through all the beings. The mind alone became, mind meaning, mind is nothing but consciousness. Consciousness with reference to thought is called mind. And that is not a reality. That is a phenomena. So that mind alone is the mind of all the people in the dream. That mind alone is the waker, dreamer, sleeper, the waking world, dream world, and the no world. That mind alone has become the instruments of knowledge, the instruments of action. Everything is one. How will the mind, what will be the disposition of the mind with regards to the total phenomena of the dream? I'm asking. Sometimes I should ask also.
Swamiji, can you repeat the question again, please?
What will be the disposition of the mind with regards to the whole dream world?
Nothing.
It's real, sir.
One by one.
Nothing for me.
Nothing.
There is no discrimination. There is no identification between mind and the consciousness.
No, I'm not talking about consciousness. I'm talking about the mind's disposition with respect to the dream world that is being projected out of it.
It's all my manifestation.
Does the mind say that?
No,
No.
Okay.
no.
Okay. That's one point. Second point.
It takes everything to be real for me. There's a mind itself.
Does the mind take it to be real, or the dreamer is taking the dream world to be real?
Dreamer is taking the dream world to be real.
What is mind doing?
It's observing or it's like passing.
So, very important point. Mind is not doing anything. It's a phenomena. It happens under certain circumstances. Mind is not affected by the dream coming or going. It is the dreamer who has taken the dream world as real and he is going through the experiences. Mind is not affected by the dream world and the dreamer. Ready to discard at a moment's notice. Correct? Another point, see if you can come up with.
Is that the nature of the mind always?
About what?
That it creates, but it is not affected. It creates all these beings and everything, projects it, but
Is the mind projecting it, or it is happening? I'm asking.
It is happening.
Is the mind projecting it consciously? Now I'm going to dream this. Is it like that, or
No.
a dream happens?
dream happens.
Dream happens.
It doesn't have any control.
Correct. So it is happening. This phenomena happens, but the dream, if you take the total mind, the mind as such, it is not affected by the dream. And what is dream? A play between dreamer, dream world, and the dream instruments. Correct? So there the dreamer has a mind, but which is this mind which is projecting the dreamer, the dream world and the dream experiences? Is the dreamer's mind the same as the mind which is out of which the whole projection is happening? Can it be the same? Yes and no.
Yes, it is the same.
Yes and no.
Yes, it is the same.
But the mind, it supports waking mind also, dream mind also, and no mind also. But the dreamer has only the mind which is taking the dream world to be real. You understand the two differences? Is it the dreamer's mind which is projecting the world, or is it the total mind?
The total.
The total mind. And this is this point, and therefore when we wake up, we give it zero value. And this distinction we are not able to make when we are in the waking. And for that, we have to, it is not in our capacity. Because we have to put efforts, then कुछ नहीं होगा. तो यहाँ पे भगवान is saying, मामेकम शरणम व्रज. If you recognize it in this way, that just like mind is not affected by the coming and going of the waking world, dream world, no world, similarly, the Virat Purusha is all inclusive. The universal form is all inclusive and yet not attached to anything in this creation. For that, again, read the verses 4 and 5 of the 9th chapter. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. where Bhagwan says, the whole world is in me, I am in the whole world. Then he says, neither the world is in me, nor I am in the whole world. Then he says, yet I support the whole world, and yet I am transcendental to the whole world. Is it not true when we take, just in this example, that mind which supports the waking, dream and deep sleep to come and go? That mind which supports waking, dream and deep sleep to come and go. This phenomena is coming and going. And the mind of the waker is different from the mind of the dreamer. It's your experience. And who are we right now? We are thinking we are the waking mind. And what is our mind in essence? It is the total consciousness. Total mind. And from that universal point of view, universal form point of view, he is the Upadan Karan, he is the Nimitta Karan. He is the material out of which everything is created, and he is the creator. So there is no sense of otherness, there is no difference, there is no me versus you. Everything is included. I bring this point again to your attention, just like you are pervading the whole body of yours. Every part of your body has a different name, has a different form. But do you feel that you are not that particular, you are not the right hand, or you are not the left hand, or you are not the nose, or you are not the toes? No, you feel, and you don't think about it. Without any thought, you know you are pervading the whole body. The thought doesn't go only. Exactly the same way, universal person, with the difference that he is the Upadan Karan also, he is the material also, he doesn't think. He has no mind, frankly speaking, because he is everything. Continuing, here he says, you should not feel, itna light kyun ho raha hai? You should not feel anxious about it or about merit and sin. You should not feel anxious about it. I already given these points. Are we afraid of losing ourselves? Are we afraid of cutting ties with our body, our possessions, our relations? This is a big anxiety, fear on this path of surrender, on this path of spiritual emergence. But your data again shows that there is nothing to fear. Every night you go to sleep, you don't fear going into unknown. If you are not afraid of surrendering to the unknown called sleep, why are you afraid of surrendering to the divine, whom you know as the self? You have always known it as the self. Why are we afraid? This fear has to go. Bhagwan is saying that don't be anxious about it, and then about it, or about merit and sin. And also, as long as we are an individual, as long as we are a seeker, as long as we are putting efforts, we are the karta and bhokta, till then merit and sin will be the norm. Merit and demerit points. And man is continuously trying to balance it out in his life. But once we surrender to the feet of the Lord, then we don't worry about sin and merit. He takes care. Aham tva sarva papebhyo. Now the next line, the next part of the verse is coming. Second line, first part. Aham tva sarva papebhyo. That I will relieve you from all your merits and sin. We live. Oh, but is it not right to Do the merit, yes, it is right. But as long as you keep thinking of the merit, there is demerit also. If you think of good, there is bad also. If you think of east, there is west also. If you think of top, there is south also, bottom also. If you think of inside, there is outside also. This is what the creation is. All opposites coexist. We should be positive. Yes, we should be positive. But to be positive, you have to apply efforts. Ahimsa, asteya, shaucha. You have to practice all that. But the moment you start practicing, you are afraid of not going into opposite. Ahimsa means himsa. Shaucha, hygiene, being unhygienic. Asteya, no non-stealing. You are afraid of stealing. So there is always this. It will be there. But when we surrender to the feet of the Lord, we rise above all the opposites. All the opposites are in the phenomena. All opposites are in the projection. All opposites are in this world. You have opposites here, right hand versus left hand. Right hand can never become the left hand can never become the right hand. But do you feel one is greater than the other, or one is more important than the other? Or do you discriminate within yourself with regards to both? Do you punish the teeth if they have bitten the tongue? Because I am the teeth and I am the tongue. Do you cut the finger if it pokes your own eye, your eyes? No. Same finger which has poked afterwards and rubs it and heals it. Because finger also I am and the eye also I am. Imagine. Mahatmas or Bhagwan. Everything I am. So will there be any hatred? That is unconditional love. Total acceptance. So here Bhagavan says that you should not feel anxious about it or about merit and sin. To remain separate from me is the sign of bondage. What is bondage? Now you understand one thing in straight away. Don't blame anyone. Bondage is, on one hand, we have forgotten the divine, and the consequence of that is we have got identified with one body and we say, I am only this. This is bondage. Bondage is...
Wonderful explanation.
Welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you, Guruji.
See? Very simple. Bondage is not avidya, kam, karma, all that is technical for an intellectual person. But very simply, you forget the divine, that very moment, the moment you forget that you are the infinite consciousness, you are the Atman, that very moment you will get identified with something, gross, subtle or causal. And that is bondage. So now correct it. Don't get identified. If you want to be identified with the divine. Mamekam sharanam vraja. Give up all doing, give up all duties, give up all seeking. Let thy will prevail. Bhagavan is giving here assurance that he says, remains, where are we? To remain separate from me is the sign of bondage. So, are you, me and everyone living in unconditional love, or we are living in bondage? each one has to answer. If we are not in bondage, then we are not influenced by anything in this creation. Then we will not react to anything in this creation. Then our vision will be equanimous. Equanimous means no preferences, not this, not that. Phenomena will continue. Just like your vision towards ornament is, I like this ornament, I don't like that ornament. But your vision towards all the waves on the ocean is equanimous. All are waves. ठीक है यार. No preferences. See the difference? That sin will be destroyed by my knowledge. What sin? The sin of forgetfulness. The sin of not recognizing that you are divine even at this moment. This will be forgotten, this will be overcome, this sin will be destroyed once and for all. How? Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. See, what happens is the technical understanding of this, we have done that in one of the chapters, but we'll do it again. And that is, we are continuously in the cycle of doing and enjoying. Ego expresses as karta and bhokta. And when we enjoy something, we immediately put it into the heading of I like the result and I dislike the result. Whatever you like or dislike, it remains as an impression on your mind. It goes into the subconscious mind, into your subconscious. And as you are moving through life, when right conditions appear, then those subconscious impressions come to the forefront. Once an impression is created, you cannot remove it. So this is a big lesson for you and me. Once an impression or a memory is created, a deeper memory means you created the impression, you interacted with that event very intensely. For example, someone has a phobia of chipkali, a lizard, or a snake, or a spider. Nowadays very common. Somewhere in their childhood, they have interacted with that spider or snake or lizard. The fear has gone so deep into their being that continues as the phobia. They are intelligent, they are smart, they are courageous, but the moment a grown-up sees a spider, सब छुट्टी हो जाता है. So, point I'm making here is, the more intensely you react with the world, interact with the world, the deeper the impression will be created. And impressions cannot be removed by doing anything. They will always be there. Then what can you do? You can create new impressions which are stronger than them. So what is that impression? Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Take the name of the Lord, contemplate on the self, like there is no tomorrow. Accept that you are that consciousness. And when here he is talking about Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, so if we surrender at the feet of the Lord, Lord is nothing but the total consciousness. Bhagwan is nothing but the total consciousness. Total consciousness knows it is the formless, attributeless reality. It knows, the total consciousness knows that nothing is outside it, everything is included in it. And when the individual who is subjected to his subconscious impressions, which express as desire, etc., etc., when he surrenders to the Lord, in the presence of the Lord, in the proximity of the Lord, the impressions get burnt up. the impressions get burnt up. And how they are burnt up, that is told in our scriptures, and they burnt up like a agarbatti, like an incense stick or a log of wood. When it is burnt, it retains its shape, but you cannot carry it. If slowly the wood has burnt up, the stick has burnt, or the rope has burnt from one end, slowly the fire has spread and it goes all the way to the other end. Your eyes are seeing a rope lying on the ground, but you cannot tie anything with that rope. Shape is there, shape of the rope is there, but it is incapable of tying anything. Exactly the same way, our impressions tie us down into this individual person that we are, into likes and dislikes, into desires, etc., etc. But when we surrender to the divine, by the tej of the divine, by the fierce fire or the presence of the divine, the illumination of the divine, all our impressions can be sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Impressions can be deep or superficial, or only surface impressions. All of them get burnt like that rope. Now, those impressions are incapable of tying the consciousness down into an individuality. If you are understanding what I am saying, it will catch you like a fire from inside, that yes, that is the perfect way to be. Why should I live at the mercy of my impressions? Why should I live at the mercy of the desire which expresses kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, which expresses as the individuality? Why should I? Good, bad, joys, sorrows, victory, defeat, sukha, dukkha, samay kritva, labha, labho, jaya, jaya, tato yuddhaya yuddhyasva. In the second chapter, Bhagavan said, raise yourself above sukha, dukkha, samay kritva. Stand above joys and sorrows. Stand above gain and loss. Stand above victory and defeat. That is the equanimous attitude. Not for this, not for that. No preferences. It's that simple. And instead, what do? Oh, we have to read the YouTube, we have to have a special message for the day from different places every day to start the day with a spiritual bent and meditate and do japa or whatever. Instead, just convert. Why only 1 10-minute, 15-minute, half an hour application of yourself to the spiritual path, to the self? Be aware of the divine in and through 24 hours of the day. Is he not present? Is he only available in those 10-15 minutes in the morning? Is he not available for the rest of the day? Is he not available right now while you are listening and while we are talking? It is only by his grace these words are coming out. It is only by his grace that you are able to listen. So don't listen to it as good or bad, understood or not understood. Just let it seep in. Be an empty vessel. Our teacher told us, when he accepted me to study the scriptures, I said, Swamiji, I'm going back to India. Do you want me to, going back to Australia, do you want me to prepare in some way? Start studying Sanskrit or by heart Bhagavad Gita, blah, blah, blah. He says, no. You go back, you enjoy yourself. Continue to live the life that you are living. Mine was already very disciplined, but okay, live, just don't think about anything. But the day you enter this ashram to study, come with an empty mind. Study for 2 years with full dedication. And then the day you step out of this ashram, go with an empty mind. See? Our problem is everywhere we go, we have a preconceived idea. We want to be better, we want to be the best, we want to be a cut above the others. And what is the teacher saying here? Be empty. That is when you enjoy the most, isn't it? In deep sleep, your mind is empty. Therefore, the bliss of sleep. Imagine if ignorant sleep is so blissful, how much conscious sleep will be. Conscious sleep means you are conscious and the mind is empty. How much more impactful, how much more blissful it will be. It's beyond the individual mind's imagination. But you can get fired up that yes, that's a worthy goal. That is how, that is my true nature. That's how I am at this moment. That's how I am at this moment. That's how I am at this moment, but I am unable to be that. So then what do? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Continuing, he says, where are we? You should not feel anxious about it or about merit and sin. To remain separate from me is the sign of bondage. That sin will be destroyed by my knowledge. This is what we are saying. Once we are merged into the divine as the divine, when a wave merges, the wave is already the infinite waters. It doesn't know that it is the infinite water. Where is it? Why doesn't it know? Because its attention is on its name and form. It feels I am a teeny-meeny wave. I was born. One day I will die. Others are trying to compete with me. Other waves are trying to push me to the shore so that one more competitor is out of the game. Another big wave is coming to swallow me, blah, blah, blah. And that wave is you and me. And in that journey, suddenly by grace of God, Bhagavad Gita came into it got presented with Bhagavad Gita and it came to Sarva Dharman Parityajya. And it started thinking of the total waters. It started thinking of the infinite waters. The moment you start thinking of something greater than the teeny-weeny wave, automatically the eyes close. The moment it closed its eyes, the form of the wave was removed from the mind of the wave and it started contemplating on the total waters. It cannot imagine total waters. It cannot, because with the teeny-weeny mind, which is only thinking of itself as the body and etc., it does not have the capacity, as an individual, it does not have the capacity to think expansively. But it can make itself available to the expansive experience. So it becomes available. And in that availability, in that surrender, in that mamekam sharanam vraja, suddenly, even before the wave is destroyed, it realizes that it is the infinite waters. Now all the impressions of being a wave, that I am a wave, I was born, I am going to die, there are competitors, big waves are going to eat me up, I am getting pushed to the shore, one day I will die. all these thoughts, impressions, they will become null and void the moment the wave through surrender has come to a disposition of being the total or the infinite waters. This is exactly the journey of you and me, if we are available. Bhagavan is saying that all the sins of bondage is caused because of forgetting the divine. All that sin will be, the moment you have the knowledge of the divine, that you are Aham Brahmasmi, or you surrender yourself completely to the feet of the Lord, at that very moment, all sins, all bondages become null and void. Just like that burnt rope. Continuing, he says, to remain, where are we? By my knowledge. So, when you surrender to me with exclusive devotion, you will become one with me. Remember the verse in the 12th chapter? Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Exclusively contemplate on me, exclusively remember me. How? Atma bhavena, not as separate in the temple. Atma bhavena, that he is the one who is presenting as life through you. He is the closer than the closest. He has never been far. You are imagining that you are far from him. So here Bhagavan says, when you surrender to me with exclusive devotion, devotion means where our heart and mind are, where were we? Order. So when you surrender to me with exclusive devotion, you will become one with me. That is his assurance, that instead of thinking about being the waker, dreamer, sleeper, instead of being an individual, instead of being a father, mother, daughter, sister, instead of playing any role, थोड़ा शांत, recording हो रही है. Instead of taking any role, you exclusively think about me. As I said, Atma Bhavena. This bhav is very important. Initial stages, bhav is very important. Bhav develops only when mind, heart and the mind integrate together. Then bhav is created. If it is only the mind, it is only mechanical, thoughts. If it is only the heart, it is only emotional. But where the thoughts and the heart meet together, then something different, bhav, shraddha, all this is created. So Atma Bhavena, Bhagavan says here that, this example I already took, as salt fallen in the water becomes water, O Dhananjaya, you will be thus released from all bondage when you attain knowledge of me. I shall deliver you. So 9 months over, 18 chapters over, delivery complete. Arjuna also went through the pain of being delivered in the 11th chapter. See, and this is the pain. Today only, where I am staying, she said, "Can you teach me? My mind is very busy and it's not settling down." I said, "Yes. You start committing to the Lord. Initial stages, the mind does." Because all the dirt is coming out, it will play a havoc. but you commit to the divine with faith, with devotion, with surrender, with heart and mind, then slowly but surely the impact of the mind, meaning impact of the thoughts on the mind, that starts reducing, and very quickly a disposition comes wherein we are able to see the thoughts coming and going but not get affected by them. Just like you are standing on the side of the road, you are seeing the traffic coming and going, but you don't feel like jumping in the middle of the road and let me see how it feels. This is exactly what we do with our thoughts. Some thought of, oh, how interesting, gaya kaam se. Lost the plot. And then wake up when? In the next life. Continuing in the 146th, 1416. या कारणे पुढती हे आधी नवा हे चित्ती मज एकासी ये सुमती जाणानी शरण ऐसे सर्व रूप से सर्व दृष्टि डोळसे सर्व देश निवासे बोलिले श्री कृष्णे मग सावळा सकंकणू बाहू पसरोनी दक्षिणू आलिंगिला स्वशरणू भक्तराजू तो न पवता जयाते काखे सुनी बुद्धिते बोलणे मागवते वो सरले ऐसे जे काही एक बोला बुद्धीसिही अटक ते ध्यावया मिश खेवाचे केले. He says, so O talented Arjuna, you realize me through knowledge and surrender yourself to me. So you realize me through knowledge. Now, see, one very important one, many places it says Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, but here Bhagwan and Jnaneshwar Maharaj in the commentary and Shankaracharya also in their commentary is saying the acme of devotion, acme of surrender. What will surrender lead to? Destruction of individuality and realization of who you actually are. Surrender of a salt doll into the ocean means what? Destruction of name and form, the salt doll and the form of the salt doll, and merging into the infinite waters. Then what is the power? Then now I have merged with the total ocean. Will that thought even arise? Because individuality that does not exist anymore. Exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. The individual, when he surrenders to the Lord, he loses his identity. Losing the identity means he loses the name and form. Meaning, this is observed by others. He is not observing that. Observed by others. What is that? He becomes one with all the names and forms. That is the experience of the totality, the Lord. Okay? And what is the knowledge present there? 4th and the 5th verse of the 9th chapter. That is the knowledge. Because Lord or the divine person, divine Purusha, he is Satchidanand Swarup. He is knowledge incarnate. He doesn't need knowledge through thoughts, books, satsangs. He is of the nature of knowledge. Do you need to know, read a book? Do you need to go to a Guru Maharaj? please tell me if I am alive or dead? Do you need to read a book to confirm that? Do you need to read a book to come to that conclusion? Can anyone else in this creation tell you whether when you have eaten food, can you please tell me if I am full or not? Nobody can tell. Exactly the same way. You will become the acme, the climax of devotion is knowledge. Bhagavan is saying here that, oh Arjuna, and he just doesn't say, Arjuna, oh talented Arjuna, you realize me through knowledge. This is knowledge. It is not just an emotional interaction with the divine. Satsang is not an emotional interaction with the divine. This dialogue which is going on, satsang which is going on, it is not an emotional deliberation. Yes, the emotion is there, feelings are, bhav is there, but we are coming to the proper assessment of who we are at this very moment, not in some future period of time. And what is that proper assessment? That divinity is here and now. Divinity is our nature. And when we hear the words like Bhagavan said before, that the sin is, forgetfulness of the divinity is the sin, is the bondage. So stop committing that sabotage on yourself again and again. No, I will start with the new year. Forget it. You will never start. Right here and now. This is the moment for transformation, for being who you actually are. So said the omniform, omniscient and omnipresent Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna of light complexion extended his right arm adorned with a bracelet and embraced Arjuna, the prince among devotees who had surrendered himself to him. So, this is something, some thought is coming, which I heard just now. I had met some classes before. I told you about one a great person called Mrinalini Joshi, whom I met in 2019 in Pune. She was 95 years or 94 years old. She held my attention for 3 hours. A sannyasini. First she was a grahastha, then she took sannyas towards the end of her life. And she kept me engaged for 3 hours. And then she said, now I'm tired. And then she laid down on her bed. She was telling that one of her friends, who was a devotee of Akkalkot Maharaj, she was in coma for a very long time because of some cancerous problem or whatever, some disease. And one day, after 1.5 months or something, she came out of coma in extreme pain, and at that time she did not remember her husband, nor her son, nor her daughter, nor her mother. She remembered Akkalkot Maharaj, grace. And the moment she remembered with that intensity, when intense pain, intense solution is sought out. And in that, when the thought of the Lord came, Akkalkot Maharaj, that all intensity went towards that divine being. And it so happened that in the doorway of the hospital, to her room, Akkalkot Maharaj was standing. And she just somehow lifted her hand and tried to touch him. While she was doing this, he also stretched his hand out, and some spark she tells now, she felt some spark, lightning come out of his fingers and enter her fingers. Next morning, there was no trace of any disease. There was no trace of cancer. She was completely healed. And for last 3-4 years or so now, she just drinks water, no food. She is not hungry at all. Only living in the remembrance of Digambara, Digambara, Shri Pada Vallabh Digambara, Akkalkot Maharaj. Same thing, I gave this example, similar here. That Bhagwan reached out to Arjuna to embrace him. Just like sleep reaches out to the waker to embrace the waker and absorb him into herself. See? Bhagwan also reached out to Arjuna, pulled him by his hand and embraced him. How wonderful! And who is this Arjuna? Who had surrendered himself to him. Shishyasteham shadhi mam tvam prapannam. Are we a student who's ready to change and learn? Are we a devotee who's ready to surrender? Or we are pahi mam, save me, save me, save me. ये सिर्फ रोते रहो बस जिंदगी भर. Are we the crying lot? Or do we take responsibility? I am ready to change. For the bhav, both are required. We must be ready to change, and at the same time, we must be ready to surrender. While we are ready to change, the individuality is still intact. We want to improve as long as the individuality is there. But we are working on that individuality, cutting away on it by surrendering it to the feet of the Lord continuously. Till a moment comes, this feeling that I have to gain knowledge, that I am putting efforts, this idea goes out of our head. It will not just go like that. And be replaced that He is the ultimate doer. He is everything. For that, surrender is required. The embrace was only a pretext to bestow on Arjuna that secret which is not within the reach of words, which have to beat a retreat along with the intellect before it. You must have seen some movie, I can't remember the name, Pyar Ki Jhapki. When the words become important, where our intellect is not able to formulate an idea. You are so much in love when that small child comes in front of you, you just don't know what to do, what to say. All you can do is catch that child, press his cheeks, give him a kiss, embrace that child. And in that warmth, in that complete acceptance, in which there is no medium of words, there is no medium of mind, that one act of embrace is enough to communicate everything that you want to communicate to the person. See? That's exactly what has happened to Arjuna here. Bhagwan has used so many words. Now he wants to give himself completely to him. See? Where are we? 1420. I think we will leave it here. We'll conclude here. We'll come back to 1420 next 21 next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Just sit quietly for a moment. Hari Om.